Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishmasi Mirosi Ruspas Mordechai. Unbelievable. Mazel tov to everybody. Mazel tov to all the Messiahim. And of course, welcome to all the guests that are here and around the world. My understanding is that there's over 1,000 new people that are joining today from Masechtas Chagigah. So welcome. Masechtas Chagigah, as you know, is one of the shortest Masechtas in Shas. It's only 26 days, only 26 daf. The next opportunity to learn a short Masechta is another 3.5 years. So, and even then, it's not as fun as Masechtas Chagigah. Masechtas Chagigah is a really exciting and fun Masechta, especially the first 2.5 weeks. After that, depends if you like Tum and Tahara or not. But most of the guys that are familiar with the Shir are very familiar with the concept of Tum and Tahara. It doesn't scare us at all. We embrace it. I'll just show you a couple of pictures real quickly. This we'll save for a little later. West Hempstead Siyumim. The Siyumim are coming in. I didn't have a chance to print all the pictures. There are like 14 or so Siyumim around the world. This is the Siyum in Toronto. Beautiful affair as usual. What do we have here? Chicago. Daheim. It's growing. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Rabbi Twersky spoke. Avi knows some people from Chicago. Teaneck, Muncie, and Passaic. Look at the crowd. Beautiful. And that's even without Mark and Uncle Phil. They're here in Eretz Yisrael. Are they here now? Oh, here he is. He's here. Beautiful. So, LA. Yeah, here's for LA. I don't have the picture yet. I'll just say this one. I'm not really reading emails today because it's the first day. We'll save that for tomorrow. I want to say a big thank you to Yoni Nissim for convincing me to join the Daf for Moed Katan. Says Aaron Zakowski. Baruch Hashem. Do you guys know him from LA?
I used to live here.
Oh, he made a Yerida? Oh, yeah. Baruch Hashem, today I'm making the first siyum of my life. Until the past few weeks, I hadn't picked up a Gemara in many years. But the past 4 weeks of learning the Daf has been totally geschmack. Already I see that the Yomi has changed me and impacted my family in a very positive way. It's a very happy and emotional day for me to be making my first siyum, and I'm excited to celebrate with all of you tonight. Beautiful. I have a picture here. I hope I have it. It should be somewhere. I apologize for it should be here, but it's small, but we'll do it nevertheless. I think it's kedai to see this picture. First of all, Rabbi Ben Shushan from Los Angeles. He's a rock star. Look at him. He got 11 of his guys to join the Daf. They're all holding MDY Gemaras. And then we have, let me just see if I can find it here. I know I saw it earlier. It's very kedai to see this one. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. This is a great one. Our Tzaddik Dovi was Messiah Masechtas Moed Katan today with the Merkaz Daf Yomi Shir. He hasn't missed a day. He had a scene with all his friends. And here he is, holding his Hebrew art scroll in Eretz Yisrael with all his 12-year-old, I guess, or so friends. So, Mazel Tov. He's not here today, is he? No. Okay. So, as usual, for all the new guys, and I'm not going to go through all the pros and the cons. I'm just going to talk about one or two very, very important concepts that you need to know. If this is your first time jumping on the bandwagon of the Daf Yomi, you need to know at least this one thing, and that is, why is it so many people try Daf Yomi and they fail? And the answer is because what happens is they miss a daf. That's what happens. They miss one daf. And when you miss one daf, you have to know what to do. And if you're inexperienced, what you do is you try to make it up. If you're stubborn, you try to make it up. But if you know the trick is you don't make it up. And if you're a perfectionist, this is going to hurt you. But that's the only way to do it. You don't make it up. Now, you do what everybody else is doing. And that's the beauty of Daf Yomi. Daf Yomi is that we're doing a daf when everybody else is doing the daf. And wherever everybody else is, that's where we are today. And I have here email. Let me read this real quickly. I don't read emails on the first day, but this one I have to read. I want to share the following with the Chabura. Throughout my years in yeshiva, I was zeicha to finish many mesechtas. This is from Meir Silver. He's a younger man that's working now. I met him last Maseh Shabbos. And he said, he was zeicha to finish many mesechtas. I created a plan for myself to finish Shas. However, I was not able to finish due to inconsistency. The cycle I decided to start Daf Yomi, I didn't miss a day until Yuma. Towards the end of Yuma, it was difficult. I fell behind. It happens to be Yuma is my favorite Masechta. I don't know what's difficult there. Okay, fine. Maybe just a personal thing. I started learning 2 daf a day to catch up. I started to fall behind in Shkolm as well. It was then that Carlos told me what you always say, skip and do that day's daf. Catch up when you can. What's the line?
Keep up now, catch up later.
Keep up now, catch up later. That is what I did. I'm happy to say that I've caught up with the last daf of Mayed Katan yesterday, and I was zeicha to finish Seder Mayed, because he already learned Chagigah. Although I have already finished Seder Nashim and Seder Zikim, I'll keep with the daf, as the consistency of the daf is what kept me on track. Please remind everyone, if they missed some daf and didn't finish Mayed Katan, skip and go back when they have a chance. Thank you. So I reminded everybody, that is the trick, and that's why there's so many people still without Chabura, because of this one little trick. So what you do is, if you have a daf that you missed because of a chasana or COVID or whatever it is, you write it down in the Gemara. You write down, I missed daf Yud, I missed 10 daf, I missed the whole Masechta. But why would you just forgo the entire Shas because you missed 3-4 daf? Doesn't make sense. But that's how the Yitzhar gets you every time. So remember that little trick. And talking about the daf, just one other ha'ara, and that is the consistency of the daf. The daf is every single day. No matter what, rain or shine, when you're tired or not tired, you learn Torah. And so many people argued with me when we went around with the yeshivas. A guy was telling me, but I don't want to do the daf, but when I go home for Ben Izmanim, I don't learn anything. And I don't learn on Friday, and I don't learn on Sunday. But that's what the daf is. The daf is vacation, in line at the amusement park, on the plane, on the train. The daf is consistency. And that consistency translates to other areas in life. That consistency translates to Shnai Mikra V'Chatargum, to Mishnah Yomi, to working out, to many other areas in life. And that's the beauty of Daf Yomi. So now that we're going to start Masechtas Chagigah, this is one of the most famous stories, but we must talk about the story. The Menoras Hama'ar brings a Medrash Tanchuma. The Medrash Tanchuma says that there was a chassid. Talking about on time of the Medrash. There's a chassid. He used to learn a lot of Torah. And he died, and nobody knew about it. Nobody knew. His body was there in the house. A day goes by, whatever. Another day, nobody found it. Until a woman came, and she started screaming outside of the house, and she said, "Save this guy. We got to bury him. You know how much I owe this person a favor? I owe him everything. How can we forget about him? Give him a hesped, give him a levaya." So they go inside the house, and sure enough, they find the chassid. There's a chassid sitting there, lying there, dead. They take the chassid, And of course, this woman is crying and crying during the funeral. And they bury the chassid. They look around. They ask her, what is your name? She says, my name is Chagigah. Chagigah, interesting name. Fine. Funeral's over, everything's over. And they look for Mrs. Chagigah, and nobody could find Chagigah. And everybody realized that it wasn't a person. This chassid, he was very fluent in Chagigah. Mesechtes Chagigah, that was his Mesechta. He used to learn Chagigah over and over. And Mesechtes Chagigah came to give him kavod and say, hey, we got to take care of his body. He learned me, he studied me, and he knows me. I'm going to take care of him. So Be'ezras Hashem, Rabbi Isai, let's embark on this journey of learning Mesechtes Chagigah. And we should be Zoicha to know Chagigah and have Chagigah be an advocate for us. So yesterday, now we're jumping, what?
Party time.
Party time. Yeah, you know what? Let me just say the sponsors real quickly and we'll go into it. This month's Koilel, we have a Koilel, for those who don't know, it's the MDY Koilel. These are guys that take the test from the beginning of Shas. So right now they're working on 850 Daf test. They're incredible guys. Every day we have Leiby David, sits right over here next to me. He's from the Koilel. And there's another guy in the Koilel that's taking 1,000 Daf test. He also listens to the shir every single day. So we're very proud of them. They add a lot to the shir. I go there for over an hour a day to the Koilel, and we shmooze learning and different ideas and different things. So I have a lot of akar satayv to them. And so do people from the shir. So we have an anonymous sponsor for the month, Lili Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. Mesechtes Chagigah is dedicated by the Kessler and Davis families. Refuah Shlema for Miriam Esther Bas Dvar Bekarev. Michael and Jamie Mello, also Parnasei Chodesh. In memory of Dvar Fega Bat Shmuel and Menachem Mendel Ben Elchana, may the neshamas have an aliyah. May Hashem bring Mashiach b'mehera. Wow. And Shalom Aleichem to the almost 200 people on Zoom. 50 more than usual. Not bad. Tomorrow, 210. Don't dare. I know, to start a Masech on a Friday is a tough one. But if you can make it on Friday, Motzei Shabbos, the Americans are not going to be on Zoom Motzei Shabbos, true. There's usually only 50 people on Motzei Shabbos. Okay. By the way, Motzei Shabbos is going to be a live shir in Ranana. Last week was in Yerushalayim. This coming week in Ranana. Going to be awesome. Jonathan Eltis, talking about Ranana. Jonathan Eltis in his house, in honor of Jonathan Austin for introducing me to MDY. Reb David Posner from Thornhill, who now learns Mishayis Yomi because of MDY. And of course, Rebelli for all that you do. Parnas HaChodesh sponsors chutz for Shlomo ben Livsha and Rivka Bas Gila. They should be Zoichet to Zer Shel Kayama Bekaroi. The Shloishim, well, it's 4 Shloishim, 30 days. We had the graphic artist, if you don't know, our graphic artist, a young man in his low 40s, Yidi Leibowitz, was nifter from COVID a couple weeks ago. So MDY sponsors for Reb Shalom Baruch Yudah, Zechron Levracha ben Rav Yosef Yechiel Michal Shlita, Reb Yidi Leibowitz. Refuah, his father is the Nikolsburger Rebbe from Muncie. Refuah Shlema, Shlomo HaKohen ben Mindel, by Abba Rennert. In honor of Eli Stefansky, thank you for helping me be Messiah and another Masechta. Welcome to Meir Named, Eli Greenberg, Yehuda Greenberg, not related. Enjoy the ride and don't burn out. Yehuda Hanikman, in memory of Simcha Beryl David ben Rib Avram Moshe, may the beauty that you brought to this world keep shining through your family and friends. Jamie and Daniela Stadenmauer, for the Refuah Shlema of Miriam Dodi Bat Chana Yochevet. Lina Nishmas Rabbi Yankiv ben Rabbi Yehuda Leib Zechron Levracha. As soon as I saw this name, I said, wow, these are names of my family. And sure enough, somebody sponsored for Eli Stefansky in Magichir Yeshiva of Philadelphia for over 40 years. Yardside is Yud Adar. So if you're new to the shir, yes, all Stefanskys are related. He was my father's cousin. Elio and Chaya Frischman, in honor of the Farkovich family, for encouraging Yosef Frischman every day. Enjoy MDY life or live, Mr. Farkovich. Yesterday, a big mess happened. Let me share with you. Oh, we're running out of time. But we're starting officially. This is the start of the Masechta. On Wednesday night, I was on the way with Tomer to Imre Bina and another yeshiva in the Gush. 2 yeshivas. So I told him, let's stop by the Mir. Let's see, because we said as a joke, maybe we'll get some Mir guys and Brisk guys to join the. Let's stop there. So he looks at the clock, says 5:30. What are you gonna do at 5:30? You know where you're going? I said, no, we're gonna go to the Mir. We're gonna ask somebody, is there a hall? And if there's a hall, it's like, with Eliezer, Evan Avram, if somebody comes and says there's a hall, then it's a simon. Fine. We go there. And I roll down the window. I said, is there a hole around there? The guy starts pointing. Oh, yeah, Bisaka Vayashan. Fine. Who do we call? What do we do? We keep on going. A guy comes. Hey, can I take a picture for my brother? So I said, yeah, but do you have the number for Bisaka Vayashan? He said, of course. Everybody has the number of Bisaka Vayashan. So he pulls out his phone. He gives us the number. Tomer calls up Bisaka Vayashan. She says, it's available. We're here. Somebody opens the door for us. 5 minutes. In, out, sign the thing. That was Wednesday night. Yesterday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Tomer says, okay, I have a flyer to go up. Should it say this? Should it say that? I said, but it's 2 o'clock. Who's going to come? Don't worry, 6 o'clock, they put up the flyer. 6 o'clock. We got food, we got schmaltz. There's a place in Yerushalayim called schmaltz. Great wings, and then they have this frosé, shtickle alcoholic, but I figured it's good for the bacher. If they drink a little bit, maybe I can convince them to do the daf. So, guess how many people showed up for 6 o'clock thing? Schmaltz, wings. 200 bacharim from the Mir. 200. How many signed up for Gemaras to Daf Yomi? 1. No, just kidding. 50. 50 guys signed up. So shout out. I don't want to say his name because I'll throw him out of the Mir. So I won't say Yosef Palchik. He happens to be a good friend of my cousin. I'm not talking. He's not the guy that really helped me out. There's another guy. Yishkoach for all the guys that helped out. Yishkoach to Tomer's son and his friends that helped out. Yishkoach to Tomer, 5-6 hours sat there putting up the chairs, doing sponge himself. The hall is going to be clean. It's going to be perfect. Fine. But I asked them, I embarrassed everybody there. Could be this is why they joined the shir. I said, you guys, what Masechta? We're learning Bava Basra. Okay. You probably know the answer to this, but don't all answer in 1 second. When Mashiach comes in a week or so, how many korbanos does one have to bring on Sukkos? You have to bring physically. You have to go buy a carbon. You can't be yaitzer from. How many korbanos? One guy answered 36. So I said he's close. So the other guy, the chacham, says 35. I said no, it's 2, maybe 3. And this is what we're learning about today. There's something called the Oilas Riyah. It's a carbon oila. It's a male. And anytime you go to the Beis HaMikdash for the regal, you bring an Oilas Riyah. Another carbon is called Shalmi Chagigah. These 2 you must bring. There's the third one called Shalmei Simcha. And that is, there's a chiyuv to eat, to v'samachta b'chagecha. So I'll show you real quickly. By the way, on Pesach, how many? 5, because I 4 or 5. You have to bring Korban Pesach, but there's a Chagigah of Yudalit if you have to eat the Korban Pesach when you're full, so you bring a Chagigah on Yudalit, but otherwise Chagigah Tesvav. Okay. So here are the psukim, real quickly. Yeah, makes sense. Pesach, Psachim, even I would remember that. But thank you. It's not about Chalaika, so you shouldn't be, whatever, fine. Whoever doesn't know, Hillel Kamiansky is in charge of saying machlokes. What's the halach? Machlokes. That's his thing. If you're new to this year, okay. Oilas Riyah. It says shalish parim b'shana 3 times a year. You go. V'lo yeira. You see, v'lo yeira means you should not be seen without reikam. Don't come empty-handed. You have to come with the carbon. Here, Oilas Riyah. That's this guy in red. Next, Shalmi Chagigah, which is in blue. How do we know that? Because it says the word Chagigah, v'chagoysem oisei chag l'Hashem. It so happens to be that that's the name of the Masechta, based on this carbon. Chagigah, a carbon Chagigah. Shalmi Chagigah, v'chagoysem oisei chag l'Hashem. There's a number of psukim. Rashi brings this one, v'chagoysem oisei chag. Chagigah. What about Shalmi Simcha? So talk about Shalmi Simcha for a second. The chiyuv is to eat meat from a carbon. How long? Somebody asked me already. I was starting to I don't answer questions in email, unfortunately. I don't have time. Somebody asked me, it's good question. Why do you need a Shalmi Simcha if you already have a Shalmi Chagigah? You're going to be eating a lot of meat. So, the answer is they could only eat a Shalmi Chagigah for how long? It's a shlamim. How long does it last for? Only 2 days. You can't eat a shlamim for more than 2 days. So you need another carbon. But what you could do is, the reason why it's in green, you don't have to bring it. What you could do is, you could eat your friend's carbon. Let's say your friend brought a nadava, so you could eat his meat because it's from a carbon. It doesn't have to be yours. These two you must purchase with your own money. Your son has to buy that also. You can't just bring oilus riyah for your whole family. Each person. Ein simcha ella. That's today. But in those days, you had to eat. The simcha was v'samachta b'chagecha. We know the pasuk. Here it is. This is the source that you have to have shalmei simcha v'samachta b'chagecha atu v'incha v'techa. As the Vilna Gaon says, this is the most difficult mitzvah in the Torah, to be b'simcha the entire yantiv, but we do it with the meat of a carbon. All right, now that we know that, Shalom Aleichem, Refuah Shleima, it's great to see you. Question: is a mother chayev in the chinuch of her children? Anybody? Is there a difference between a father and a mother?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Okay, so let's see. Hakol chayavim b'ri'iyah. Machlekes Rishonim. We go according to Rashi. We like to stick with one Rishon. We go according to Rashi. Rashi says we're talking about the mitzvah, not the carbon riyah, but the mitzvah to go to the Beis Hamikdash 3 times a year. Imagine the excitement of Klal Yisrael when we had a Beis Hamikdash. We spent Yantiv with the Rebbeinu Shalom in his house, in his Beis HaMikdash. Everybody in Eretz Yisrael went up. You lived in Bet Shemesh, you went up there. You brought karbanos. Hakol chayavim b'riyah. And now the Mishnah is going to list 11 types of people that are potter from going to the Beis HaMikdash. Chutz, micheresh. Okay, so we're going to see that our Mishnah, you got to talk to him. Our Mishnah is talking about 2 types of chereshim. There's a cheresh that can't hear and can't speak, and there's a cheresh that can't hear but could speak. The Mishnah is talking about both of them. 2 halachas. Chutz, mecheresh, shoyte v'katan. So these are people that are not competent. So mela the potter from mitzvahs. V'tumtum vandroginus. One who you can't tell whether he's a male or a female because it's covered. Tumtum. Androgynous is he's both. V'nashim, women are potter from Re'iyah, from going up to the Beis HaMikdash. V'avadim, she'ena meshuchrarim, and slaves that aren't free. Hachiger, someone who's lame, he can't walk very well. V'hasuma, he's blind, the Gemara is going to go into, blind 1 eye, 2 eyes. V'hachayla, and somebody's sick. Again, people that can't have a difficulty going up, traveling. V'azoken, and the elderly. Umi she'ena yochal lalis beraglov. Okay, if somebody can't go up with his feet. Ezu katan. Now, midaraisa, a katan is potter. But Chachamim said that a certain age, Yechayiv and Chinuch, Ezu Katan, Kol She'eni Yachal Lirkoib Al Kseifav Shel Aviv V'Lalis Mirushalayim L'Har Bayis. If you cannot ride your father's shoulders, you can't hold on tight, whatever it is, for whatever reason it's difficult for him, he's too young, then he's potter. Now here's the interesting Rashi, let's see it inside. Rashi says, Ezu Zakaton, Ava Mikam Be'elach. 5 lines down. From this age on, even though he's not mechuyev midaraisa, hetilu chachamim al aviv v'alimoy, says Rashi. L'chan choy b'mitzvahs. Some want to point out that Rashi holds that a mother is chayav b'chinuch like a father. Many argue. They say Rashi doesn't really mean that. I saw one pshat that Rashi is just saying that if the mother comes with the father, then you have to bring the kid. You have nothing to do. You don't have a baby. You have to bring. We'll see tomorrow a little bit more about that. So this is Divrei Beis Shammai. The shear is if a kid could hold on and walk up to Yerushalayim on the shoulders. Even if he could ride his father's shoulders, if he can't hold on to his father's hand and walk, when I was learning this, I was like, what's the big deal to hold on to your father's hand and walk? I mean, he's grabbing you. He doesn't give you a choice. He's just grabbing you. I remembered that my bchar was today, 26. We were in Flatbush on Shabbos, no Eruv. And genius parents, new parents, like, okay, yeah, we'll take this kid. He knows how to walk. We just bought him shoes. So we'll take him from here to there on Shabbos. We're like a block in, and he starts turning around. He wants to go the other way, and we're schlepping this way. Nothing. We couldn't do anything. He threw a tantrum. It's not so pashut to take a kid by his hand and go. It has to be a certain age. Whatever that age is, I'll tell you right now, it's not 2 years old. I don't know what it is. I didn't try it again after that. You could say that Beis Hillel hold that when it comes to chinuch, you have to hold your child's hand. You have to show him warmth and love. Hold him by the hand. Okay. B'derech remez. Shenemar shalosh regalim. So it's a play on words. Shalosh regalim means the 3 yamim tovim. And we're talking about shalosh regalim, you go by foot. Now, we're not talking about a child here. We're talking about the adult should come up by foot. So Rashi says very pashut. If the father, he's not mechuyev to go up, so certainly not the child. So now we have just a simple machlokes. What is the minimum value of this carbon? How much do you have to pay for a oilas ri'iyah versus the oilas Chagigah? According to Beis Shammai, the oilas ri'iyah is more expensive than the Chagigah. It must cost you minimum tuma. How much is tuma in our days? It's approximately $1.25. Nothing. Mam's a joke. $1.25. The Chagigah, ma'al kesef, 75 cents. That's the minimum. Ubeis Hillel hari'iyah ma'al kesef. The opposite. The oilas ri'iyah, which goes completely to Hashem, it's a oila, goes on the mizbeach. You don't get to eat anything. Is one. The Chagigah shtei kesef. When it comes to the carbon Chagigah, it's more expensive. What do you see from here? Again, I'm just saying. I don't know. I'll get a lot of emails on this. You see that a su'uda that you do l'shem shamayim, like a Chagigah, you're making a meal. It's a meal, but l'shem shamayim is more chashav than something you give to the Rebbeinu Shalom completely. Yeah. Well, whatever. Hakol asu imai. We have the Mishnah list 11. It's a lot. 11 people that are not chayiv to go to the Beis Hamikdash. But anytime the Mishnah says the word hakol, it comes to include something that is not written. So what's not in the Mishnah? I mean, we basically said it all, no? It's talking about a person who's half and half. In other words, you have 2 partners that bought a slave, and one released the slave. So now, because he's released, he's completely free on 50% of his body or whatever. The other 50 is a slave. The chiddush is, he is chayiv. Hakol. Even a half of slave has to come to the Beis Hamikdash. Now we must remember this shita right here. There is a shita called Ravina. According to this shita, and the Gemara is going to say later on he took it back, but we just remember it for a minute. Ravina says that if somebody is a half a slave, he doesn't go to the Beis Hamikdash. So then what does Hakol come to include? What else are we adding? We already have a list of 11. You added number 12, which is a half a slave. he takes out number 12 to have a slave. So what is number 12? Hakol lasuya mai, lasuya chiger b'yom rishon b'nispashe b'yom sheni. Very good. A guy couldn't walk. He couldn't walk, and then he bumps into a Rebbe, he bumps into Baba Sali or something, and the guy, a bracha, he jumps out of his wheelchair and starts running. But on day 1, he couldn't. On day 2, he could. Says the Gemara, listen to this lamdisha chap over here. Let me just say it outside real quickly. We have machlokes later on. How does it work? Is there something going on here that I need to know about?
Turn on the AC, people are hot, the windows are open.
Okay. Yeah, so we could we could open up the windows, Rabbi Isai. A lot of guys to open up the windows. Why not? Don't be embarrassed.
The noise open?
They're not that day there were jackhammerings. I said, we got a little chirping of the bird is geschmack. Jackhammer, whatever. So come again, Rabbi Kramer. So no, I'm not. It wasn't a shtach. It was serious. So we have a machlokes. When a person, similar like when a person misses shachris and he makes it up by mincha, what is he doing? So machlokes is when a person misses his carbon, and we had this last masech, an amazing chiddush. Person misses the carbon on the first day, he has to shlum him. He can bring it all 7 days. In fact, the big chiddush was if a person forgot to bring his carbon on Shavuos, he could bring it for 7 days after Shavuos. We just mimic Pesach and Sukkot. But why could he bring it for the next 7 days? Is it the carbon that he was supposed to bring on day 1, he's bringing on day 2 and 3? It's a makeup. Or he has a chiyuv every day of Yantav to bring a carbon. And if he brings it once, he's potter. Again, it's very simple, but again, is the chiyuv on day 1, and if you don't bring it, you have to bring it on day 2? And if you don't bring it on day 2, bring that. So in other words, if the guy was lame, he was handicapped on day 1, he was potter, so he never, that chiyuv can't transfer to day 2, because he was potter on day 1. But perhaps every day of Sukkot, he has to bring this Shalmi Chagigah. And if he brings it once on day 2 or day 3, whatever, then he's potter from all days. That's the question. So if you say that each day is its own chiyuv, so yes, we're talking about a case that a guy was a handicapped on day 1, he couldn't walk, and then a nace happened to him, he was able to walk on day 2, so he has a new chiyuv on day 2. Great. That's why it says Akal, that's number 12 in the Mishnah. But if you say that no, it's only day 1 they have to bring a carbon. But if you forget to bring it on day 1, bring it on day 2. But he wasn't chayiv on day 1 because he was handicapped. So this guy, even if he had a nace and the Rebbe told him he should jump out of his wheelchair, he's potter because his whole chiyuv was on day 1 when he wasn't chayiv. He's not chayiv when he's handicapped. So what's number 12 in the Mishnah? It's talking about a blind man who is blind in one eye, and he's chayiv. He's number 12 in the Mishnah. He's chayiv to go to Beis Hamikdash. And this doesn't go according to the Tana. The Sanya Yochim and the Havai Omer. Mishum Reb Yehuda. Suma bachas me'en of pater min ariyah. Mandamar Yochim and the Havai says you potter if you have one eye. Shenemar Yira Yera. Very interesting. When the pasuk says Shalish Pam Eshana Yera Kol Schurcha, how do you know how to read it? Well, there's nekudas, but these nekudas are a tradition. Without nekudas, what is the simplest way to read it? Yira. So there's Yira and Yira. It's like Yesh Eim LeMesayris and Yesh Eim LeMikra. The way we read it and the way it's written. And therefore, we can learn 2 things from it. Kederach Shabbat Lirois, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to see us, Kach Ba Leirois. That's how he has to be seen. The way he sees, that's how he's seen. Ma Leirois B'Shtei, just like Hashem sees us with 2 eyes, meaning he sees us with his full capacity, nothing's blocking. So to be seen, so we see him is b'shtei einav. You have to have 2 eyes and 1 eye, according to Rabbi Yochanan and Havai. 1 eye is potter from going up to Beis Hamikdash. Our Mishnah says hakol to say. Now we're going to go back, like we said right before Ravina. Ravina is the one that says that whoever is a chetzi ev chetzi ben chayrin is potter we're going to say that even Ravina says Chetzi Eved Chetzi Mechorin is chayev to go to the Beis Hamikdash, and Hakol means a Chetzi Eved Chetzi Mechorin. With the Kokasha Lo Chod Ravina, but you bring a Shita Ravina that says he's Potter, Loi Kasha. Kam Mishnah Rishoina, Kam Mishnah Achroina. After Beis Hillel admit to Beis Shammai that they're right, and you have to release, you're half a slave, says Rashi, beautiful. The last line of Rashi, you have to release him tomorrow. So right now, today, he's already released. It's like we have this svara throughout Shas, something that must happen. It's as if it happened already. Now, says the Gemara, this not, what's the machlokes? If a person is a half a slave, he only has to work the guy that's still holding on to him for one day, and he's free the other day. Divrei Beis Hillel. Omer lehem Beis Shammai, say Beis Shammai, daf Beis Omid Beis. Tikantem is rabbi, v'sasmi lo tikantem. Very good. The guy that owns 50%, nothing ever happened to him. He owns 50% and he didn't lose anything. But you never helped the Eved. What happened to him? Sponsored by Moshe Horn. For Schus, for Woody, Chewy, and the Kale twins. Not a joke. These are real people. And sponsored in honor of Eli, wishing him Hatzlach in all his endeavors, both in Gashmis and Ruchnius. I can't wait till this thing's over. What?
He's also real.
I know he's real. I don't know who he is yet. You'll tell. Who? Oh, the Eli. Shkoyach. The guy in this rabbi is absolutely the Ganta. What's the problem? Lisa Shivcha in Yachal. Somebody is half and half. He's a half a slave. He can't marry a Shivcha. Why? Because 50% of him is free. Bas Chayrin in Yachal. Why can't he marry a regular woman? Because she can't marry him. She can't marry half a slave. Libato, so let him not get married. That's the main point of the world. I didn't create the world that it should be desolate. I created it to inhabit it. Where else do we have this? Just in the last Masechta? Anybody? No, I said in the last Masechta. Gittin is coming up in a few months. What? Akiva, get over here. Akiva, get over here. Get over here. Come on. Listen to this Talmud Chacham. He just turned bar mitzvah. He's doing the daf with us for 2 years. Here's a guy, a bacher, who doesn't take his finger out of the place the entire shear. Unless I call him to the front. Akiva, what do you say?
If he wants to get married.
Who's he? A husband that lost his wife during Shiva, and he wants to get married.
He's allowed to because of.
But what? Because Pruva, very good. But what is a regular man that loses his wife? How long does he have to wait?
I think 30 days.
3 regalim. 3 Yom Tov. Beautiful job. Wow. Kol hakavod. For some reason, it seems like the kids in the shir know a lot more than the adults. Is there any truth to that? It's either Yoey or him. Okay, fine. We also learned about, there's one more halacha, Akiva, that we don't want people to push off their wedding to Yantif and do 2 for 1, do the Sudas Yantif to get the wedding because of Pruruvu. Okay, also in Ma'id Kata. Don't worry, I didn't remember it myself. The guys in the Koil told me. So what do you do? Says Beis Shammai, you force the master to release him in order so this guy could be Mekayim a mitzvah. Taisus asked Avi's question. I should do an Aveira, release my slave. It says Leilam Bem Tavoid. I can't release my slave. I should release my slave so this guy could do a mitzvah Puruvu. Says Taisus, a number of tirutzim. One of them is that it's not the Evid's fault. The only time you say don't do an Aveira in order that your friend should have a mitzvah is when it's your friend's fault. But here's not his fault. Okay, different tirutzim. The Rashba says, I think in Gittin, not here, but the Rashba says there's no Aveira of Leilam and Tavoid because he's already half free. So there's no Aveira in that. Okay, fine. The Chazru says the Gemara, at the end of the day, Beis Hillel say to Beis Shammai, you're right. Oh, so if you're right, then Ravina, once again, is not going to say that a half a slave and a half a Eved is potter from going to the Beis HaMikdash. He's going to say, because Beis Hillel took it back. He's going on the Mishnah Achrayna. And what about the first Mishnah? Says Rashi, once they said it, they made a mistake, sort of, Beisil, it stays in place. Because everybody has this niggin, it goes together with the song. You can't change the song, you can't change the Mishnah, even though it was a mistake. They leave it in there. So now we have, what's number 12? A half a slave must go to the Beis HaMikdash. Ravina says a half a slave doesn't have to go to the Beis HaMikdash. He took it back. Because a half a slave must be released, and because he must be released, it says if he is released, he's released, he has to go to the Beis HaMikdash. Says the Gemara, it seems that they're all in one category, incompetent. So, they're not competent. It's talking about a cheresh. Typically in Shas, a cheresh means somebody that can't speak or hear. And like we learned, all over Shas, deaf mute. Now, I forgot to ask Avi, but Avi wrote a sefer on deaf, right? What is it called?
Oizen Avdecha. You have it here.
Oizen Avdecha? Yeah, pull it out. Why not? I forgot to talk to you about it, but there's different things. Deaf mute, like Helen Keller, I don't know exactly her story, but supposedly she learned how to speak. What happened? We have Mechaber Svarim. Don't look at him like this. So what if he's a lawyer there? He read Svarim. Here we go. Levishat machshir shmiya v'shetel koklari mechutz lebayit b'Shabbat. Shkoyach. We're going to take a look. I have one in my house. Tshuvas from Rav Chaim Kanievsky. It's always good to just write that on the front. Okay. Tanila, this was not rehearsed. Seriously, I should have spoken to you, and I didn't know this in the basement. You can put it back. Not now. Later. Somebody who could speak but can't hear, cheresh. He could hear but can't talk, ilam. That's a mute. But if he has both of these chisroinos, harein kipichim l'chol dvarim. Each one, just a mute or just a cheresh, he's a pikeach. He's not a shaita. He understands everything. As the Gemara, how do you know this? It's from a pasuk. I'm like a deaf who doesn't hear. So that means cheresh means can't hear. A mute can't open up his mouth. Like it's known. This is how you say it. His words were taken away from him. So you see the word ilaim comes from ishtakel milulei. Says the Gemara, medaber ve'en shemea, shemea ve'en medaber chayav. V'tanya medaber ve'en shemea, shemea ve'en medaber patur. What's going on? It says that somebody that's just deaf, but he can speak perfectly, he doesn't have to go to the Beis HaMikdash. In other words, it has nothing to do with being competent or not. If a person has that chisaron, like we had that cheetah, one eye, you can see perfectly with one eye. Patur from going up to the Beis HaMikdash. Can't hear, you can do everything else. You don't have to go to the Beis HaMikdash. In fact, our Mishnah means two things, two separate halachas. You just have to insert pshat, not words. Pshat. Everybody has to go up to Riyah. Interesting. This seems like almost, I didn't pay attention to this, but it seems like almost Taisus. Riyah v'simcha is talking about like two korbanos. Okay, I'm sure Rashi has an explanation. Everybody has to go up to Beis HaMikdash, u'besimcha, and to eat the meat there. Chutz mecheresh hamedaber ve'ein shemea. Besides one who can hear, is deaf mute. Cheresh hamedaber ve'ein shemea. Oh, sorry. Chutz mecheresh hamedaber ve'ein shemea. He could speak, but he can't hear. Shemea ve'ein medaber. Shepatum in Riyah. Says the Mishnah. When it comes to Riyah, you patur if you have one or the other. You don't have to have both to be patur. If you can't speak but you hear perfectly, don't go to the Beis HaMikdash. You don't have to go. You can't hear, but could speak, don't go to the Beis HaMikdash. You don't have to. Nevertheless, he's chayiv in simcha. Here, the Gemara already explains my kasha, that he's chayiv in the shalmei simcha. You hear this? And that's tomorrow's daf. You have somebody that doesn't hear, but could speak, he's chayiv in mitzvahs. Why? Because he's a pikayach. He's like everybody else. So he has to bring a carbon like everybody else. But he's patur from going to the Beis HaMikdash. Why? That's tomorrow. But now the Mishnah continues and says another halacha. What if he can't do either? He's a deaf mute. Now he's in a category of incompetent, then he's potter af min simcha. Now he's potter min mitzvahs. He's potter from the carbon. Now we're just going to repeat word for word until we get to Daf Gimel. If one or the other, you potter from going to Beis Hamikdash. Let's just do two more lines. If he's incompetent like a shayt and a katan, then he's potter from a carbon. Have a wonderful day. Motzi Shabbos. The shir is at 8:30 in Ranana.